Hi guys, it's me Terry of the Yarnjoy podcast. Welcome back to another tutorial. This is part 10 of the Baby Educational Ball tutorial. This is a pattern by Patricia Heller. Thank you, Patricia, for giving me permission to make a tutorial on your awesome project. Okay, so we are going to be doing panel number 9 in today's tutorial. So as always, you're going to need one of your finished panels. Okay, I'm using this green one. You're going to need some white yarn, or this is the colors I'm using. We're going to be doing the flower or the daisy panel, and so I'm going to be using this white. It's a number 3 weight yarn because that is the same weight yarn that I've been using throughout the whole project. So I'm going to be using white for the petals on the flower, and then I'm going to use this purple for the center piece of the flower. I think she actually used yellow for hers, but I'm going to use this purple because I have more of that color. And that is all the yarn that we need. I'm using the same hook, 3.0 millimeter hook. I know on some of these I'm using an orange one, and this one I'm using a pink one, but they are the 3.0 millimeter hooks, okay? And the reason I'm using that because that's the hook that I've been using for throughout the whole project. Whatever hook you were using, you need to use the same size, okay? And you need your hook, you need a yarn needle to sewing the piece onto your panel, and a marker, stitch marker, and a little bit of fiber fill, just a little bit. You'll be using it to stuff, well, more than that, but you'll be using it to stuff the center of your flower, the little ball that's in the center. And let's see, I think that's it. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, disclaimer, now it does say that you will need a metal ring with a diameter around 15 millimeters. Okay, I do not have a metal ring, so my idea it is to sew the petals on in a circular form, and so my idea is I'm just going to be using the tail off of one of the petals, you know, just leave a long tail, petals. Leave a long tail, and then I'm going to attempt to sew them together in a circular way just to connect the petals together. So we'll see how that works out. If it doesn't work out, I will have to do some editing in this video. Okay. So let's get started with that. Okay, so taking the color that you're using for your petals, we're going to start with a magic circle, and as always you can chain 2 and then work in the second chain from your hook if you prefer to do that, but I'm going to use a magic circle or magic ring, and into that magic ring we're going to be putting 6 single crochets, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, okay? And get our beginning tail and to draw our pull on that to draw your circle closed. And as of all the other ones we've done, we're not going to be joining our rounds, we're going to be working in spirals. So in this first round we should have 6 single crochets. Okay, so going on to round 2, it says we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 3 times. Okay, so going right into stitch number 1 from round 1, we're going to do 2 single crochets into that stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, and then I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to put my marker into the first stitch of those 2 that we just made. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, so now in the next stitch we're going to do just 1 single crochet, and then that's our sequence to go all the way around. So the next stitch we're going to have 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Okay. Sorry, I bumped the camera a little bit, sorry. And then 1 single crochet in the next one. Okay, and then 2 single crochets in the next one. Whoops, I think I skipped one here. No, I didn't. Okay, 2 single crochets in the next one. And then 1 single crochet in the next one, okay? So you're just alternating 2 single crochets and then 1 single crochet. That's all you're going to do all the way around. And at the end of round 2, you should have 9 stitches around your circle, okay? Going on to round 3, I'm going to remove my marker. And it says now we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch and then 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And we're going to do that all the way around, okay? So going on to the very next stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets into that stitch. So 1 and 2. And then we're going to take our marker and put it into the first of those 2 that we just made. And then going on, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then that's it. We're going to repeat our sequence. So 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, 1 each, so 1 and 2. Okay, and then we're going to repeat that sequence one more time. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. Let me get some more yarn. And then 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 in that stitch and then 1 in the next stitch. Okay, so at the end of round 3, we should have 12 stitches all the way around our circle. Okay, now we're going to take out our marker and we're going to go on to round 4. So going on to round 4, we are going to do, we're going to just do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and we're actually going to do that for rounds 4, 5, and 6. For the next 3 rounds, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and we're going to keep the stitch count at 12, okay? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then go ahead and put my marker in there. And then I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. And so I'm going to do that for 3 rounds. And I will meet you when I get finished with the 3rd round, okay? Okay, so I just finished round 6. And I did 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So I still have a stitch count of 12. And I'm going to take my beginning tail and I'm just going to stuff that on the inside of my petal there. Okay. Okay, going on to round 7, we're going to do a single crochet in the first stitch, put our marker in there to mark the beginning of our round, and then I'm going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, and then I'm going to do an invisible decrease, which is the way I like to do it, is you go underneath the front loop only of the next stitch and then twist your hook around and go underneath the front loop only of the following stitch after that. Okay, so you have 2 stitches on your hook, and then yarn over, bring your yarn through just like you're doing a regular single crochet, okay? And now we're going to repeat that sequence. So 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, and then do an invisible decrease. Okay, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, and then just do an invisible decrease, and you're back to the marker again. Okay, and then going on to round 8. So at the end of round 7, you should have now gone down to 9 single crochets around your circle. Okay, going on to the last round, which is round 8, you're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then you're going to do an invisible decrease in the next 2 stitches, okay, where you stitch those together, and you're going to do that 3 times and end up with 6 stitches around your circle, okay? So 1 single crochet in the first stitch, go ahead and place your marker there, and then now we're going to do an invisible decrease. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then another invisible decrease. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then another invisible decrease. Okay, and that gets you back to your marker, and you now have 6 stitches all the way around your petal, okay, the circle. And that's all. So you're going to take out the marker, and then you're going to fasten off by doing a slip stitch into the next stitch. Okay, now you're supposed to make 6 of these petals. Okay, I've already made my remaining 5. I did that off camera previously. Okay, so you're going to do 6 of these petals. All of them, I went ahead and weaved in, the first 5, I went ahead and weaved in all my tails, okay? But for this last one, I'm going to leave a super long tail, so that way I can use that to sew my petals together, and also to have enough to sew it down to the panel itself. So I want to make sure that I have a really long, really long tail. I can always trim it afterwards, but I want to make sure I have plenty of yarn. Okay, I'm sure I'm going to be trimming this because that looks like a lot. Okay, I forgot to tell you that you need scissors. Sorry about that, but yes, you do need scissors. Okay, and I'm just going to snip that off. Okay, pull my yarn through. Okay, so go ahead and repeat this pattern for the rest of your petals. You want a total of 6 petals for this project, okay? So you can stop the video and go ahead and finish the rest of your petals, and then meet me back up, and we will go on to the center of your flower. Okay, so I got all my petals made, and I hope you've gotten yours made as well. Let's go on to the center of our flower. We're going to start again with a magic circle or magic ring. You can always do the chain 2 and then work in the second chain from the hook if you prefer to do that. Okay, and into this magic ring, we're going to do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, pull on your beginning tail to tighten up your circle. Going on, and so you have 6 single crochets around your circle. Going on to round 2, we're just going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So we're going to do an increase in each stitch around. So we'll go from a stitch count of 6 to a stitch count of 12 when we get finished, okay? So going right into our first stitch, because we're going to be working in spirals, and I want to do 2 single crochets in that first stitch. 1 and 2. Okay, get our marker, place the marker in the first stitch of those 2 that we just made to mark the first of my round. Okay, and now I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around, and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, I just finished round 2. I now have 12 stitches around my circle. I'm going to take out my marker and go on to round 3, and we're going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and that is our sequence that we will repeat all the way around. So in the first stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Place my marker in the first stitch of those 2 that we just made, and I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, and that's the sequence we're going to repeat all the way around. So 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 and 2, 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, repeat that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the marker. Okay, so at the end of round 3, I now have 18 stitches all the way around my circle. Going on to round 4, we're actually going to do rounds 4 and round 5, and we're going to do just 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so we will still have 18 stitches around our circle. So go ahead and do that. We're going to do 2 rounds of 1 stitch in each stitch, 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, moving our marker every time we get to the front of this, the first stitch of each round, and we're going to do that for 2 rounds. Okay, I will meet you when I finish those 2 rounds. Okay, I just got finished doing rounds 4 and 5, just 1 stitch in each stitch around. Okay, and I already removed my marker in preparation of going on to round 6. Right now we still have 18 stitches all the way around our circle, okay? Going on to round 6, we're going to start decreasing. We're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch. So 1 single crochet. Go ahead and place our marker into that stitch. And then we're going to do an invisible decrease in the next stitch, or over the next 2 stitches. Okay? And we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches. Okay? And I'm going to continue doing this, and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, I'm back to my marker. We have gone down now from 18 stitches. Now we have 12 stitches, okay? Take out my marker, and then in our last round we're going to do we're going to go down to 6 stitches by doing an invisible decrease in each stitch all the way around, or over 2 stitches, doing 2 stitches together, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of my stuffing and start filling that little ball that we're making. And you can keep adding a little stuffing as you go, as you're closing it up, if you think it needs more, okay? Okay, so going on to the last round, we're just going to do an invisible decrease all the way around. So there's the invisible decrease in the first 2 stitches, and then I'll go ahead and put my marker there. And now I'm going to do invisible decrease in each time all the way around, okay? And so we'll be doing that 5 more times, and we'll have a total of 6 stitches all the way around our circle, okay? I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, I'm back to the marker, so I'm going to go ahead and take my marker out, and we now have 6 stitches all the way around our circle. You can, if you feel like it's not quite full enough with stuffing, you can go ahead and stuff in a little bit more, little extra. Okay, and so now we're going to fasten off and leave a little tail just in case we need to secure this down to the panel. So I'll leave a good several inches worth of tail there, and then we're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch into the next stitch, and then just pull our yarn all the way through, firm it up, and like I said, you could add some more yarn in there. I mean, not yarn, some stuffing if you feel like you need to. You can just use the end of your hook to stuff any remaining in there that you want. I think I want some more. Okay. Okay, so there is the center of our flower. So that is all the crocheting that we need to do. Now, let's take our petals, and I'm going to yarn up my yarn needle on this long piece that I kept on my petal. And I'm going to sew these petals together, and what I'm wanting to do is I want to sew them. For one thing, see how the opening is open where we fastened off. Sorry, Teddy is deciding to make a lot of noise in this video. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to try to sew I'm going to sew the opening closed. Now, we did not stuff the petals, we just pushed them flat, okay? So I'm just going to, first thing I'm going to do is just I'm going to sew together the end of this with this opening, sew it together. You know, just line up the stitches and go through both thicknesses, okay? Now I did that on my other flower, my other petals when I fastened off the tails and weaved them in on the other ones. I've got fluff everywhere. Okay. Okay, so now that I've sewed my opening closed on this petal, I'm going to take the next petal, and I'm going to go ahead and go through the end or the edge of the where I sewed the opening closed, and I'm going to attempt to like string these together I think that's what I'm going to be doing. And then just go in and out, working my way over to the other edge of the petal. Like that. Okay, and now I'm going to add my next petal. I'm going to do the same thing. Oops. Dropped it. Okay, you can also lay this down on a tabletop if that is easier to get them spaced apart. Or, you know, easier for you to handle, or I guess. Like that, see? Okay. And then I'm going to take my next petal. Add that one. So just continue doing that, stringing them together. And then when you get all 6 of them, then the 6th one should be connected to your first one. So then you will have this ring that's open in the middle. It's the idea that I have to do it that way, since I don't have a ring, metal ring to stitch them to. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sew the next 2 on, and I will meet you up when I get ready to connect the first one to the last one. Okay, so I got all 6 of them strung together, and now I'm going to attach or connect the 6th petal to the first one. Okay. So you don't want to sew them real tight because you want to make sure that they can still lay flat, okay? And you can lay them down on your surface to make sure that they are still laying flat like they should. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, I think, and kind of make a knot here in the back just to kind of secure that together. Like that. Okay. So there is my ring of petals. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my panel, and I'm going to center this string of petals onto the panel. Okay, and now I'm going to start sewing just to make sure the center of the panel is there in the center of that ring of petals that we just sewed together. And now I'm going to sew it onto my panel just by going right through the bottom. Okay, and now I'm just going to go all the way around my ring of petals here, just going in and out from the back all the way to the, you know, through the bottom of the panel, the back side. And I'm going to make my way around the circle. Make sure that the center of your string of petals stays in the center of your panel. You can always use some pins if you feel like you need them to stay more stationary. Otherwise, you can just hold them with your thumb or whatever as you're sewing them around. I'm going to finish stitching this on, and then I will be back when I get finished doing that. Okay. Okay, I've got my petals all sewed onto my panel. Now I'm going to take my center of my flower, the little ball that I made. I'm going to keep this tail just for the time being from my petals, just to make sure I don't need anything extra when I'm securing this. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'll be able to use the tail of this ball, but just in case, I'll leave it there for the moment. Okay, so I'm going to place the ball there in the center, and then I'm going to be going down through the panel to stitch on this ball to the center of that ring of flower petals. Okay. And so let me do that, and I will meet, and you work on yours, and then I will meet you back when I get finished putting this ball in the middle there. Okay, so I got the center part sewed. I just sewed it right in the center of that ring of flowers, and I went all the way through to the back side, okay? And so I think it's on there good, secure enough. So I'm going to go ahead and take my tail and these tails and just tie them together in knots, and then trim my piece, the tail short. And then that will be the end of our panel here, the finish of it. Okay, so there's that one. So I'm going to cut that. And this was actually the start of my panel, so I'm going to go ahead and sew, just as an added security, I'm going to go ahead and tie those two tails together. Okay, and then clip them short. Okay, so there is our panel. This is panel number 9, I believe. Yeah, panel number 9 of our baby educational ball. So we have 3 more to go, and then the actual assembly of the ball. So thanks guys for watching this video, and I'll hopefully be back in just a few days to have the next panel ready to be done. So everybody have a great day, and we will see you in the next video. Bye guys.